Remember that one place in Call of Duty where ads were never supposed to show up? Yeah, that's gone now. Because Activision just did something so sneaky, so shameless, it set off a firestorm. They shoved a $20 cosmetic ad directly into your loadout screen. In a full-priced game. No warning, no announcement, just boom! Right there, next to your class setup. And when players lost their minds, rightfully so, Activision pulled the ad and gave us the old excuse in the book. Whoops, that was a mistake. Was it, Bobby? Was it? Here's the thing, nobody believes you. Not the Reddit warriors, not the streamers, not even casual fans, because we've seen this tactic before. Introduce a cash grab, wait for the outrage, pretend it was an accident, repeat next season. So today, we're breaking it all down. What really happened inside Black Ops 6? Why this UI test smells like bullshit? And how this controversy exposed a deeper pattern of corporate greed that might be even affecting every AAA title we play. How far are publishers willing to go before we stop playing along? This wasn't just a small pop-up. This was a full-blown ad baked into the game's interface, right in the loadout menu. You weren't on the main store screen, you weren't even in a match lobby, you were literally trying to swap a scope and oh, a $20 bundle is staring you in the face like it belongs there. Now to be clear, this isn't the first time Call of Duty has tried to sell you something mid-game, but this was different. Because the loadout screen, that's sacred ground. It's where players tweak their weapons, check tactics, prep for battle, not scroll past glorified shop banners. But Activision doesn't care. They just quietly inserted the ad slot into every player's interface during the Season 4 update for Black Ops 6. No big announcement, no patch notes about it, just silence. Like, they hoped we would have noticed. We noticed! And gamers weren't just annoyed, they were furious. This wasn't some free-to-play mobile app begging for clicks. This was a $70 AAA shooter now pushing cosmetics like it was Candy Crush. And the worst part, you couldn't even avoid it. Every time you edited your class, that ad stared right back, front and center, like it was part of the game. Therefore, within hours, screenshots exploded across Reddit, Twitter, and Discord. One post on Modern Warfare literally said, "Bro, I'm just trying to add a silencer. Why do I need a Dodge $30 skin while I do it?" The memes came fast. One user joked the new kill streak was an unskippable commercial. Another called it Call of Duty Late Stage Capitalism Edition. Here's where things went from stupid to insulting. Activision responded, and instead of owning it, they hit us with the weakest spin possible. Oh, that ad? Yeah. No worries, guys. That was just a test. It wasn't meant to go live. Our bad. Yeah, right. This oops excuse landed like a flashbang in a glass room, because here's what we all knew. You don't accidentally design a dynamic store banner, link it to the live item database, and then perfectly embed it into the UI where your weapon attachment should be. That's not a mistake, that's a pitch meeting, that's art direction, that's QA testing. So what really happened? Activision tried to test the waters. They wanted to see if they could sneak one more ad into an already bloated menu, and maybe, just maybe, players would be too tired to care. But we weren't tired. Not this time. And that's when the internet did what it does absolutely best. Roast them. The hashtag COD AdGate started trending. Players started uninstalling in protest, and some of the biggest creators called the move pathetic and tone deaf, especially considering how monetized the series already is. But what pushed it over the edge was how familiar it all felt. Because this wasn't even the first time. Oh, not even close. And if you've been playing COD for a while, you probably felt it too. That deja vu, that gut feeling like, wait a minute. Just a plan, oopsie daisy, like they accidentally left the kettle on. But let's be real, nobody was buying it. Because this wasn't some rogue texture or debug command. This was a fully designed, fully integrated, clickable advertisement tied to real paid bundles placed directly into the most used screen of the game. This was a fully designed, fully integrated, clickable advertisement tied to real paid bundles placed directly into the most used screen of the game. That doesn't just slip through during a patch. But Activision stuck to the story. They removed the ad within days and hoped everyone would move on. No refunds, no compensation, just silence. Therefore, the backlash didn't stop. It got louder. Of course, Reddit threads hit thousands of upvotes. Streamers ripped into the excuse on livestream. One YouTube title summed it up perfectly. Call of Duty gaslights its own community. Again. Because that's exactly how it felt. Gaslighting. Gamers didn't just feel annoyed, they felt insulted. The lie wasn't just lazy, it was familiar. This exact playbook has been used so many times. It's basically a Call of Duty perk now. You know, you buy it with a game. Introduce something exploitative, wait for it to backlash, claim it was an accident, and pretend to listen. Rinse, repeat, profit. It happened with loot boxes in Advanced Warfare. It happened with the $1 red dot reticle in Black Ops 4. And now, here we are again, being told we imagined it, that it wasn't meant to go live. But this time, people push back harder, because the community is not stupid. They understand how modern development works. And when something this polished appears in the UI, you can't just shrug it off and say it was a test. Players started calling it what it really was, a monetization probe. A way to test the boundaries and see how far they could push it before the explosion. And guess what? The explosion came, not just because of the ad, but because of what it represented. A total breakdown of trust. Activision's error wasn't just a coding slip, it was a reveal. A glimpse behind the curtain, a confirmation of what gamers have suspected for years. That these publishers do experiment with monetization behind the scenes, and only backpedal when we notice. They're not even subtle about it anymore. Because why would they? The money keeps rolling in, microtransactions rake in billions. So what if a few angry players uninstall? The whales are still buying it, the skins are still selling, and the cycle continues. But that's where Activision miscalculated this time, because this wasn't just some niche controversy. This hit everyone. Console players, PC players, even casuals, even single person editing their loadout got hit with the same ad. You couldn't not see it. It wasn't passive, it was invasive, and it broke the illusion. Call of Duty has always monetized hard. But this time it got too close, too greedy, too blatant, too disrespectful. They remember every prior excuse, every shady store tweak, every overpriced cosmetic, every time they were told, this was just a glitch, it's not coming back, we value your feedback. And now they're done listening. Because after this many lies, the only thing more insulting than the ads is being told they weren't meant to be there. But here's the thing. This wasn't a one-time screw-up, it's part of a much bigger pattern. And if you think this is the first time Activision's crossed a line like this, wait till you hear what they've already done in past titles. Oh yeah, we're digging deeper. What we're about to show you, yeah, it's way worse than just an ad in a menu. This didn't come out of nowhere. That little accidental banner in your loadout, that's just the latest chapter in a long, greasy saga. Because Activision's been pulling this nonsense for nearly a decade now, slowly, deliberately, and with dollar signs in their eyes the whole time. Let's rewind for a second. Back in 2014, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare introduced supply drops, randomized loot boxes that could include cosmetic gear or powerful weapon variants, not just skins, guns with better stats. That was a part of pay-to-win panic in the COD community. Players called it out, said it wasn't fair. Activision said, "We hear you," and then doubled down with Black Ops 3 and World War II, both of which pushed even harder on loot boxes and randomized gear. But the outrage didn't slow them down. Therefore, by 2018, we got Black Ops 4, a game so bloated with microtransactions, it charged $1 for a red dot side. Not a bundle, not a blueprint, a tiny glowing dot for $1. It's cheap. Even mobile game devs were laughing. That became a meme. Sure, it also became a warning sign. Activision was testing just how ridiculous things could get before players broke. Turns out, they didn't break. At least not enough to hurt sales. So they kept going. Battle passes, operator bundles, weapon blueprints, $30 skin packs, event passes stacked on top of existing battle passes. Seasonal content that you already paid for locked behind new paywalls. And players kept spending. It didn't matter that each game was still $60, then $70. Didn't matter that matches were cluttered with ads for bundles, store tabs, rotating offers, because the money flowed and the community adapted. Not because they liked it, but because if you wanted to stay competitive or just not look like a bot, you had to play along. And that's the real trap. Activision doesn't need every player to spend. They just need enough of us to stop complaining and keep playing. But this time, the ad placement was a step too far. It wasn't cosmetic. It wasn't optional. It was forced, in your face, and impossible to ignore. That's why the community snapped. Because it wasn't just about this one ad. It was about everything that came before it. And the fear of what's coming next. If they're willing to push this into the loadout menu now, what's stopping them from adding ads to the kill cam, to the pause screen, to the scoreboard? Don't laugh. That's exactly how it starts. And if history tells us anything, it's this. If they get away with it once, they'll do it again. If you're a COD player, here's your challenge. Hit the like button if you've ever rolled your eyes at a bundle ad mid-match. You know you have. And drop a comment with the dumbest microtransaction you've ever seen in Call of Duty. Was it the $1 red dot? The anime gun pack? That $20 dog operator skin? Because trust me, what Activision's done already is bad, but what they might be planning next, that's a real endgame. And once you hear the end, you'll understand why this fight is far from over. At this point, you might be thinking, okay, hey, Alonso, they tried to sneak in one ad. Big deal. They took it out. What's the fuss? That's exactly the point. It's not about it. It's not the one ad. It's about the system behind it and the psychological game being played. Because Activision isn't just trying to sell you skins. They're trying to condition you. Think about it for a second. Think about how it works. First, they introduce a tiny annoyance. Like an ad in the menu. Right? Something that technically doesn't break gameplay, but it feels wrong, so you complain. But they pull it back. They act apologetic. Whoops, that was a test. Cool. Therefore, you feel heard. You stop raging. You go back to playing. And 6 months later, a new feature appears. Slightly different, slightly more subtle. Maybe this time it's an operator showcase, or the scoreboard, or a recommended bundle before matchmaking. You complain again. But not as loud, because part of you thinks at least it's not the loadout menu again, right? And that's how it spreads. Not all at once, not with a big splash, but with a slow drip of monetization that wears players down. Not with force, but with fatigue. Because when you're tired of fighting the same battle, you start to accept things you never would have tolerated a year ago. That's a strategy. And here's where it gets even more dangerous. They're not doing this by accident. They're doing it because it works. Everything is scientifically proven. We've seen it across the entire industry. 2K charging for haircut animations, EA hiding entire game modes behind Ultimate Team grinds, Ubisoft pushing NFT skins before they even work properly. But Activision, they've mastered it. Because they don't just rely on money from new players, they rely on you, the loyal ones, the COD fans who come back every year, who buy the battle pass, who pre-order the next entry because maybe this one will be better. And when they test stuff like this, you're the guinea pigs. They measure how long you complain, how many people install, how fast the controversy dies. And if the storm passes quickly, that's permission. Permission to try again, to push harder, to blur the line between game and storefront until you don't even notice you're shopping while playing. That's the end game. Not just profit, predictable compliance. Training players to expect ads, to scroll past prices, to ignore the monetization, even while they're knee-deep in it. Because once the outrage dies, the habit stays. Despite everything, gamers can win. This loadout ad was removed in less than a week. That's not luck, that's pressure. The memes, the uninstalls, the callouts on Twitter, the videos, it worked. And that's the part they don't want you to notice. They want you tired. They want you jaded. Because tired players don't push back. Tired players just accept the next pop-up, the next fee, the next excuse. Not this time. It was a calculated test, a way for Activision to ask how much more can we get away with it. And this time, they got caught. Players noticed, the community snapped, and Activision backpedaled fast. That's the cycle. Push the limit, watch reaction, pretend it was an error, regroup, try again. But here's what most players miss. The oops is the system. It's not a detour, it's a strategy. Every misstep, every rollout, every rehearsal, it's all data. They're tracking the outrage, measuring the noise, waiting to see how quickly we move on. That's a real game they're playing. And if we let them normalize this, ads and loadouts today, who knows where next? They win. Gamers didn't stay quiet. You fought back. The ad got pulled. And for once, the community didn't just complain, it changed the outcome. And you stood together. That's not noise, that's leverage. In the meantime, if you're done being treated like a walk-in wallet in your own inventory screen, smash that like button, drop a comment with the dumbest microtransaction you've ever seen or heard of. And don't forget to subscribe, tap on that notification bell so you don't miss any video to Level Up Gaming, because we're not stopping until the entire system gets called out. This isn't just commentary, it's resistance, it's community, it's real talk for real gamers. Keep on leveling up, my friends. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.